Update: my ex-wife's boyfriend is abusing my kids, and the custody hearing isn't until after I'm supposed to bring them back. Original post: Michigan, USA. I just had the most horrific day of my life on Friday. I found out my ex-wife's boyfriend has been beating our children, 7 and 10. I split up from my wife about 6 months ago, and she started seeing someone seriously about a month after that. 3 or 4 weeks ago, he unofficially moved in. I never liked him, but I never had reason to believe he was violent. My custody arrangement is such that I get the kids for a week, then she gets the kids for a week, back and forth. I didn't try to sue for full custody at any time because this is totally unprecedented, and I've never known her to be an unfit parent. Raising the children had nothing to do with why we split up, and nothing related to anger, violence, or general carelessness. Friday night, she dropped the kids off and, as usual, she barely made eye contact or spoke to me. I tried to organize an amicable split for the kids' sake, and it went well at first. Then after the papers were signed and assets divided, she wasn't having it. Usually the routine when she drops the kids off on Fridays, around 7 or whenever they finish dinner, is that we watch the game or play some video games, get a jump start on weekend homework, and then head to bed. My younger son was really despondent when she dropped him off, and my older son was hyper and fidgety, unlike both of them. Usually they're perfectly well-tempered. If anything, my younger son is normally the fidgety one. He has ADHD, and I've never seen him as still and affectless as that day. I asked if everything was okay, and they said yes. So the boys headed upstairs to shower, then went to their room to change. I came in to say goodnight and saw that my younger son's back and chest were covered in bruises. I was half paying attention at first and only caught a glimpse, checking my email and seeing it out of the corner of my eye. I asked him to take his shirt off, and he panicked. Not like him at all. I was still helping this one in the bath until earlier in the year, and they both would walk around in their boxers all day if we let them. So that raised a flag right away. To make a long story short, he was covered in bruises on top. I had to step out of the room for a second because I didn't want to break down in front of him. His legs also had prominent lacerations and welts. I asked him what happened, and he kept telling me he fell. He was definitely coached because he hasn't lied to me that blatantly since he was about 4. I didn't want to press him. My older son finally told me in private what happened. My younger son did poorly on some test, and my ex's boyfriend whipped him with a belt. When he cried, the boyfriend just started wailing on him because men don't cry. I am shuddering even typing that last part. It is the exact opposite of everything I and my ex had been teaching them their whole lives. And the most traumatic part to both of them was not even the violence of the boyfriend, but that my ex was sitting in the room and did nothing. Without going into detail because I would just get too upset, this was not an isolated incident, just the first time he left noticeable marks. He'd been hitting both of them, the younger one much more frequently and aggressively than the older one, and told them if they said anything, they'd never see their mother again because she would lose custody. And my ex backed him on this. I haven't let onto my ex at all because I don't want her to know before I can get to court and sue for full custody. I took photos of every injury. I am so livid. I don't know if I'm more mad at him for attacking my children, my ex for not doing anything, or myself for not putting the pieces together sooner and doing a deeper dive into the man living with my kids. I contacted a lawyer the next morning, but he said that since the guy technically doesn't live with them, we might not be able to take custody from my ex. He kept his apartment, but according to the kids, he brought a bunch of boxes with clothes over 3 or 4 weeks ago and has stayed over every night since. He also said that once my wife catches wind of my suit, she might just take out a restraining order on the guy and swear they're broken up, while still seeing him on the side once she keeps custody. Knowing that it isn't certain I'll win full custody, it's taking all I have not to load them into a car, change our names, and never come back. Is there anything else I can do in the meantime? My lawyer says that at the end of the week I'll have no choice but to send them back to her house. Our court date isn't until Wednesday of next week. They've barely slept the last 2 days. The younger one is afraid to sleep alone and keeps getting into bed with his brother, who is so guilt-ridden that he didn't do anything to stop it or speak up sooner, that he just gets into bed with me and cries all night. They're both starting counseling in 2 days. I did not see this coming at all. My ex-wife was so against violence, she wouldn't even kill a spider in the kitchen and would spend hours trapping it in a glass to release it. She once found out a teacher had yelled at one of our kids and had a meeting with the principal the same day. It has occurred to me that this man is abusing her too, and she's under some sort of spell with him and needs help of her own. Once it affects my kids, I don't care about her problems, only they matter. There is no excuse that will justify her sitting and watching a grown man brutalize my 7-year-old. So basically, what do I do when the end of the week comes and I'm supposed to give them back? I don't want to be charged with kidnapping. However, I'm not bringing them back even if I'm mandated to. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Go before a judge and try to get emergency custody until the hearing. My lawyer tried to do this and was denied. I just wrote after reading your comment to understand further why that happened, because it does seem crazy the more I think about it. Essentially, he said the judge didn't deem the injuries severe enough to warrant an emergency hearing because he didn't have to go to the hospital or require medical attention. So it's up for debate whether or not it will be classified as abuse and has to wait until our court date. He said the judge implied maybe the boyfriend is just very old-fashioned. Either he didn't look closely at the pictures or is abusive himself, because my son had angry red welts that were still festering after nearly 24 hours and unhealed lacerations. Following up on this with the lawyer. Get a new lawyer. It may also be a good idea to take him to the hospital so a medical professional can take stock of his injuries, so you have definitive proof that the injuries are from before you have had the children. Is there any way your lawyer can go before a different judge? This one seems like he doesn't care at all. I don't know, but we'll ask. This is my first interaction with the court system beyond contesting a traffic ticket. A great idea to take him to the hospital though. The youngest is sleeping now for the first time in a while, but I'll bring him the moment he's up. I am a social worker. A lot of people on here say to call the doctor or the police or CPS. Firstly, I looked up the number to CPS and it is a 24/7 hotline, so you can call at any time of the day. Just know that usually you have to wait on hold for some time, but stay with it. Also, you can call the police, and most definitely see a doctor. What I'm saying is, you don't have to go to the police or the doctor to get them to make a report to CPS. Do all three. The police will likely be required to make a report to CPS, and the doctor will as well. This is not considered repetitive, because the more people report something, the more of a red flag it becomes to CPS that something really bad is going on. Also, you don't need to provide proof or worry about having proof. That's not your job. That's CPS's job. They will talk to everyone involved and get all the proof they need. Now for the first update. My youngest is awake, and we're on our way to the hospital. I'm having both kids examined just to remain on the safe side. I called CPS and said I'm bringing the kids to the hospital and I'm scared to return them to their mother's care. Fingers crossed. Second update. I have questions on how to proceed. Question 1. My lawyer is telling me to be prepared for my ex to say I abused the kids and coach them to lie. Is there anything I can do to get out in front of that? Question 2. I wouldn't be surprised if the boyfriend has been abusing my ex-wife. My lawyer said if this is the case, she might use that as a defense for not stepping in when the kids were being beaten mercilessly by a grown adult man. If this surfaces, does it help or hurt my efforts to keep the kids in my custody? Now to the update. My lawyer agreed he didn't have the background to handle this case and connected me to a different lawyer with experience in these cases in family court, who is also being very generous with her rates. In the meantime, my ex-wife arrived out of nowhere to try and take the kids back. I hadn't gone into the driveway yet, and the kids were tuned into their iPads with headphones on, so we went on a spontaneous ice cream run. CPS is heavily involved, and 6 separate reports were made. Originally, I had written 5, but I forgot my first lawyer also filed a report at the instruction of my new lawyer. So mine, my new lawyers, the ER doctors, the police who were called to the ER, and their school counselors, at the advice of my new far more aggressive lawyer. The reports are almost definitely what backed the judge into a corner and required granting the hearing. I'm too nervous to sleep. The boys slept some. They seem a bit calmer. Hoping for good news, and thank you for all the good advice. I now see I really needed that new lawyer. and filing the multiple reports and getting an exam was the best course of action. Question 1. That's why you involved the police and CPS. They're professionals and are investigating. Most kids are not very good liars, so the professionals should be able to tell who's lying and who isn't. I know it doesn't always work out that way. Just listen to your new lawyer and make sure you don't advise or try to help the kids with their statements. Leave it to the professionals. Did your ex try to pick the kids up before the scheduled time, or was it the normal exchange time? I'm sure she's been notified of the investigation. Make sure your new lawyer notifies CPS or police about her showing up at your house. Question 2. I don't know, but whether she's also being abused or not, she was definitely aware of the kids being assaulted and didn't intervene, per your kids' statements. That will not play out in her favor. Good luck, and keep being a good dad. Thank you. And no, it wasn't the normal exchange time. I was supposed to drop them off at the end of the week in the evening. She never comes here. I always drop them off there. Partially because I like having the extra time of the drive with my kids, and partially because I wanted to keep an eye on how the new boyfriend interacted with my kids and the state of their house. Though we see what good that attempt was now. Lastly, because the few times she picked them up here, she'd come hours early, and I felt awful when my visits were cut short. I know OP has spoken with a school counselor, but Monday morning he has to speak with a counselor and principal in case mom shows up. I'm not sure if the school can prevent her from speaking to the kids or signing them out, but OP needs to be informed if she steps on school grounds. The school is aware, both for the boys' well-being as they cope with everything that's happened, and also for security reasons. I called the principal and have been assured they'll show her face at a meeting on Monday, so everybody on campus will be aware of her. I had to send proof of full custody, etc. before it was finalized, but by Monday it should be okay. Thanks for your concern and tips. Third update. Thank you all for your excellent advice. My lawyer is aware that I'm posting on here and said it's all right, especially since she recognizes she can't make herself as available as she would if I were a regular client through her firm paying full freight. She's been wonderful. The hearing was pushed back by a couple of hours, but we can't leave in case they can see us sooner, so we're waiting now. I'm exceptionally freaked out, but my lawyer seems deeply confident it will be open and shut. The caseworker isn't visiting the house until this afternoon, but apparently she's already visited my ex's house and talked to the boyfriend, and her conclusion from that was to recommend they stay with me. The boys have had some interviews and exams with CPS that'd sound like they went as well as they could have, and the things that didn't go well will help me get them home and safe. After this process, my next step is an order of no contact on the boyfriend, or a restraining order if I can swing it. I'll have to ask the lawyer, but she agrees. We do need something official in place to keep him at bay. A buddy is installing a couple of security cameras today. Thanks to those who recommended that. Another update. I have custody until the formal hearing is scheduled. I don't have to bring them back. Their lawyer tried to say the younger one had fallen on cement and rolled down a step, and that's how it happened. When the boys were asked if the younger fell and they had no clue what she was talking about, they tripped on some patty bricks but were barely scratched. Their lawyer tried to switch it around and say I had abused them, and they were trying to do me a favor by keeping it out of court. The judge said, "Counselor, are you out of your mind?" Which my lawyer says is a great sign moving forward. I don't know where they found their lawyer, but he was wearing sneakers. So now we wait for next Wednesday. I'm just relieved there isn't the same clock on it now. Thank you again to everyone. The boys are back in school Monday and doing well. The older one fell asleep tonight without issue for the first time since I got them. I'm hopeful. Now for the last update 2 weeks from first post. Sorry for the long delay. It's been a crazy few days. I've barely been checking my emails, let alone Reddit, as wonderful as you all are. Your support has been so critical in getting through this time. So at first, I did not win full custody. My ex-wife and her bizarre lawyer fabricated evidence claiming I'd been fired from a previous job for violence, going so far as to forge a letter from a non-existent boss and a whole cache of lies. I am in IT, so I really don't know what she could have dreamed up that would end in physical violence. I was just so flustered and terrified at the initial ruling. My lawyer hadn't seen the fake papers and was a complete shark, not allowing anyone to even leave the courtroom before she understood the reasoning behind the ruling. Once it came to light that there was some sort of evidence she hadn't seen, she really dug in, and at the end of the day I got full custody, with my ex getting limited supervised visits, provided the boyfriend is nowhere in sight, and the chance to come back and get more visits if she can demonstrate the boyfriend is no longer living in the house or would ever be around the kids. The other good news is that it seems like the only plus to the Icky Sneakers lawyer is that he is helping her seek some counseling for whatever trauma she personally experienced. My lawyer is following up to see that anyone responsible for misconduct, including the judge, is dealt with appropriately. I have the kids now. That's all that matters. They're still in school in her town, where I lived with her when we were married, and the end of the year is close, but next year I'm going to move them to my district. It's all on her now. All that matters is the boys are home. Last story. I'm moving away after divorce even if it affects my stepkids' schooling. My husband and his first wife divorced, and I met him when his children were young, 5 and 8. We moved in together about a year later. My family is very comfortable, and my father is generous, so he bought the house we live in as a wedding gift to me prior to our marriage. My husband and his ex agreed it would be best to put the kids in this school district, so our address has been the primary residence this entire time. My husband and I are divorcing. He was in a lot of debt when we married, and my father negotiated a prenup that says he basically leaves with what he brought into the marriage. In the years we were married, he paid off his debt, so he will be fine, but real estate has exploded, so he has no chance of getting into this neighborhood. There are other good school districts in the area, just not as good as this one. Everything about this house reminds me of our failed marriage. I want to move away and start over. My company has an office in a city that I've always enjoyed visiting, and I think the change will be good for my mental health. I told my ex I will stay until the end of the school year for the kids, but both my ex and the kids' mom are screaming at me about how awful I am, how I'm ruining the kids' future, and punishing them when the divorce is not their fault. They are great kids, and I miss them so much. The oldest is in high school, and I'm sure it sucks to change schools as a teenager. I haven't seen the oldest since they moved out. The youngest stopped by with her dad to exchange Christmas gifts with me and does text sometimes, but she is in so many activities that she's always busy. I don't want to put my life on hold anymore. I want to start over, maybe meet someone and have kids of my own. This house is big and lonely now. Am I really awful? Edit to add, since everyone is asking, I don't think he can afford the house even at a discount. The market went crazy since my father bought it, and it's worth a lot. He has a good job, but not that good. This neighborhood is really popular right now. I could rent to him, but the thought of him bringing other women into my house? I'd rather rent to his first ex-wife. He can rent a smaller house or apartment in the area. You shouldn't be hostage to your ex for kids that don't even seem like they have a great relationship with you. Yeah, I guess we don't really have to ask why the divorce is happening, eh? I don't mean to make it sound like I don't get along with the kids. I think the oldest is at an age where friends are more important. The youngest plays soccer, dance, drum lessons, and seems to have a birthday party to go to every Saturday. I don't blame either of them for not talking to me as much. Some commenters are trying to say you are cutting the kids off, but people with reading comprehension see that you like the kids and are still open to a relationship with them. Yes, I still talk to the youngest, not as much with the oldest, but both are welcome to reach out to me at any time.